So a weekly recap. This week I've taken a trade every day, and this was the first trade I took on Monday. So this trade here, I had, it looks a bit, okay, it's looking all a bit messy right now. Let me get rid of all of this. So this was the low. I had taken Asian session, so this was the overall low for me, right? This is London session low, and that's the low I wanted to see it beat because it's just beating London session low. So I was thinking it's either going to continue to the downside or reverse to the upside. So I played price on, and we had an instant break structure. So I marked it up from the most recent high. And yes, you could say this was the most recent high, but I marked it from here, I'm pretty sure, as my most recent high. And I entered from 1 to 3 like this, risking 2%. So I don't know. This is obviously in thousands. My account's not in thousands, but this is just me just marking it up and giving you a breakdown. So take profit was here. Trade was doing well. Then it hit this area, and that was now the area I wanted it to be. So it came up, come up, then it broke structure here. So I was thinking, okay, this is a good trade. It's broken structure. This area was holding, it's broken structure. This is going to be a retest to go lower. And then what ended up happening here, get rid of this now. What ended up happening is it price traded up, closed above it, and I closed for a loss of minus 400. But it wasn't minus 400, it was minus 52, I believe. So that was Monday. That was Monday. And then Tuesday. Tuesday was a very, very weird trade, if I do say so myself. Trying to get rid of this so it's as clear as possible. But so what happened on Tuesday is break structure of, as you can see, all of Asian highs, then with London high. So I thought, okay, it's either continue or reverse. So I had this big impulsive candle up here. So I was thinking, okay, cool, this is now the high. So this is the high I had marked like this. And this was the low that I had marked. So if it breaks this low, it's a break structure to the downside, then I'll be looking for sells. If it's a break structure to the upside, I'm looking for buys. That simple. It retested the lows, failed to close above it, then it broke to the upside. So I marked from this low to this high, and I entered on the 50%. As you can see, I pressed it a bit too fast, so it's gone past 50%. And my stop loss was 2000, which is 200 on a 10k, which is 2%. And as you can see, I was in the trade, and the trade was in profit near enough the whole time. It then had this here, it had this here, which a lot of people would say this is a breaker structure here, but for me it wasn't, because to me this was still my structure point. So this is just a deep retest. So it's come to this area. Then it's created this. A lot of people would say, oh, it's bearish now. But for me, it still wasn't, because the high, yes, it's been tested, but no structure has been broken for me anyway, right? So cool, that's happened. Because for the structure to be broken, it would have had to been this for me, because this is deeply retested into this area, taken out this area, so it's retested in, gone higher. And then what's happened is the high's just retested this area and then gone higher. So I was holding the trade, and then it got to 5 p.m. At 5 p.m. I closed all my trades, so the trade was closed at 5 p.m. So that was Tuesday. So Monday a loss, a Tuesday a win. And then Wednesday, get rid of all of this. So that was still Asian session high for me because that's pre-London. Pre-London I count as Asian session as well. Break structure to the upside, and then a break structure. No, a break structure to the upside, taking Asian high here, as you can see, and then it broke to the downside, as you can see, broke this low. And if you want to count this low, and then you could, as you can see, it tested and then eventually broke. So I thought, okay, it's broken London's most recent low, it's broken London's overall low. So surely, surely it's wants to continue to downside. And this is a mistake I've made now a couple times when price is broken structures to both sides. It does happen when that does happen, majority of my trades do lose. So as you can see, tested the highs, then it eventually closed above. Can it close above? It closed, yeah. So yeah, it eventually closed above and that was a loss. So I was at one loss, two losses and one win. But yeah, as you can see, the trades that choose to break structures to downside and then reverse, or break structure on both sides, I normally do lose. And I'm pretty sure I made the same mistake on Thursday, I believe. I think I did anyway. I'm not too sure. But yeah, Thursday took quite long to break structure to the downside. As you can see, it tested it here, struggled to close beneath. Then as you can see, it's broken, even though this isn't my time, like this high doesn't mean anything to me. It did break it, as you can see, broke structure of the Asian high, broke the most recent high. So I should have seen that as a sign. And then it's broke a structure to the downside. And then I've entered off of 50%, as you can see, 50%, same stop loss. It's entered me in. And what I should have realized is this low has created, you could say this high. This high has then created this low, that's created this high then created this low. And then this has ended up forming. And that could have been me closing my trade out here and then getting into buys. I could have done that, to be honest. But what ended up happening is ended up getting stopped out. I didn't end up getting stopped out. I closed as soon as it closed my structure. So yeah, that was the loss I took there. So that was Thursday. I was at three losses, one win. Yeah, three losses, one win. But that buy I could have actually got into, which is kind of annoying because it was showing good signs of good structure. But then even if you look at it, I would have lost the buy anyway because I'm pretty sure, yeah, I did. So if I bought here, price would have closed out a couple candles later. So I would have lost a buy and a sell on the same day. And that's why I normally keep it to one trade a day. So yeah, that was kind of annoying. And then if we go on to Friday, if we go to Friday, which is today, I'm doing this all at 12:51 by the way, because obviously there's no more trades for me. So I thought let me just get out of the way. Friday was an interesting day because I actually I actually woke up late, which then messed up my entry. But what I should have done is wait for this, break a structure, and then I should have entered off here, like this, like that. That's what I should have done, like that. and then had a limit here. Why is it not saying limit? Why is it not saying limit? Oh, that's what I should have done, like that. And as you can see, it would have been hit, and it would have been a decent looking move. But what I actually ended up doing is because I did wake up late, I ended up I think entering at about, where did I end up entering? I think I ended up entering here. So not too far off my entry, but still a shit entry compared to what my original entry should have been, right? So that was that. And the reason I lost this trade is because, so as you can see, we have this high. This is broken structure, retested in, and it continues to the downside. So for me, this would be the most recent high. Once the most recent high got closed above, I wasn't thinking, okay, cool, let me close the trade because it's wrong. I was thinking, okay, it's closed above the most recent high, but it still is within this structure. So it is still valid in my opinion. But if it does continue on, so if it's closed above most recent structure, create a low, and then does that, then I'm thinking, okay, let me get out of the trade. So then so it's done that, it's created a low, and then it's broken structure to the upside. And then when it's created this candle, that's when I've then exited. So I exited for, I think, about $27. So let's just say break even because $27 is absolutely nothing. So that is my weekly recap. And yeah, I don't think there was much to go in depth with because it was very simple trades. So I've taken a trade every day this week and I've ended in $16 profit, which is literally fuck all. But it goes to show that trading the 5 minute for me and the way I trade, I can have 3 losses in a week and 1 win, and I'll still end in profit because my losses are so small compared to my wins because I know where to get out, and I know when to just call a loss. But now if we look at the markets, right, we entered, oh, let me go back to thingy. That's the video for Friday, by the way, which is going to come out today. But as you can see, if I exited here, right? I exited on this candle. Now, if I just kept holding it until stop loss or whatever, I'd now be in drawdown or would be at break even. So it goes to show knowing when to get out is a very important thing. Same as for here, if I held it to stop loss, look, it would have gone to straight stop loss and I would lost 2%. Same with here. Break structure to the downside, look for sells, understood, okay, I'm wrong, let me get out. If I didn't and wanted to hold it stop loss, 2%, so I'd been down near enough 4% in a week, Same with here. I would have been fully stopped out and lost, so I've been 6% down this week. But now I understand that also I'm gonna try putting my stop loss above the most recent high or the most recent low because I feel like I am missing out on a lot of profit with a fixed risk to reward on a 5 minute time frame. But it is something I would want to test, It is something I would want to test. But yeah, as I was saying, yeah, I do want to try a fixed risk to reward because I feel like a fixed risk to reward. No, I already do a fixed risk to reward, I mean, but I'd want to try just using a stop loss above the highs and lows. So for example, trade I took on Monday, I'll just use the examples for this week so it's nice and simple and not use loads of data just so you can kind of gauge what I'm saying. So let's say this is the break of structure here, right? And as I said, this was my most recent high, and I enter here. Stop loss above these highs. I'll give it two pips, 2 pips room, right? So this is the highs. I'm not going to put it exactly straight over the highs. I'll give it a pip or two, so 5 pips, right? And let's say I target a 1 to 2. because with this, I think a 1 to 3 would be good, but I'd want to start with 1 to 2 and then build my way up and see how many hit 1 to 3. So let's say 1 to 2. It would have entered me in, would it have entered me in that candle? So it would have entered me in the second candle after break structure at 9:35, and then by 10:15 I'd have hit take profit. So that if I'm risking 2%, that would have been 4%, right? Now if we do the same here, I'm just going to use the same entries I took, but my stop loss beneath the lows. Same thing here. Retest in, stop loss beneath the lows. The lows are 3.7 pips, let's say 4, so give it a 6 pip stop loss. It's got 2 pips, breathing room. 1 to 2. And that would have hit, so entry would have been 9:30. 9:30 it would have hit 12:25. It would actually hit, if spreads were good that day, it would have hit 11:45, so about 2 hour, 3 hour trade. So I'd have been up 8% Monday to Tuesday. And then let's say this day, right? I'm going to take all the trades I would have taken. I'm not going to change it or filter it or whatever. So it would have been up 8%. Then I would have taken this trade. So that would have been 8 pips, so 10 pip stop loss. So it would be a 20 pip take profit. As you can see, would have come up, would have closed the exact same area, would have lost more. Actually, I would have lost the same amount because I'd have been risking 10 pips anyway. So it would have been the same loss. So let's just say I lost 2%, just for argument's sake. So I'm at 6% this week so far, right? 6% this week. And then this, enter here. So the high would be 7 pips. So let's just say 9 pips stop loss, 9 pips stop loss. And then 18 pips take profit for a 1 to 2. So we've lost this one as well. Let's say it hit full stop loss. Cool. So I've lost 4%, but then I've gained 8% and I've lost 4%. So I'm at 4% profit this week. And then let's say, okay, I woke up late, so I'm gonna still put my entry as the same. I just remember it being 6-7, 4-6-7. So 4-6-7, stop loss above the highs. So the highs is 4.1 pips, 2 pips breathing room, 6 pips, 1 to 2. So 1 to 2, it would have tagged, it would have hit take profit. If it wasn't, and we say we lost another 2% here, cool. We've left the week with 2%, right? We've left the week with 2%. But if we're saying it did hit, then we would end the week in what, 6% profit? 6% profit? No, I'm going mad. We would have lost end of the week in 8% profit because we've lost 4% after gaining 8%, and then we've gained another 4% after. Yeah, okay, so we left the week in 8% profit, right? And this is what I actually want to test. I want to take the same entries with a fixed risk reward and then a risk reward where the stop loss is above the highs and see how well it does, right? That is what I want to test. Or what I might try to do is test it both with a 1 to 2 risk to reward and see how that does. Because I do think a 1 to 3 on a 5 minute, it is hard to capture. It is something that is possible, but I don't want to have to be in trades for hours and ages. As you can see, a 1 to 2 with a 6 pip, 10 pip, or a 10 pip stop loss and below, it looks way more possible to hit take profit within a reasonable amount of time. You know, I'm not trying to have to be in a trade for 7 hours and 30 minutes and I've only gone up 15 pips and my target is still enough 15 pips away. That is quite annoying, to be honest. And then with the other trades, as you can see, if it was a fixed 1 to 2, you know, I'm in the trade for an hour or two and it's way easier to mentally manage because you're not having to sit down and watch every candle and, oh, is this a break structure? And two, at trading, the whole point of trading is to be able to have freedom and, you know what I'm saying, have that luxury of time. So holding a trade for 7 hours, profit literally pennies or profit hardly anything. It's not really it. So yeah, this is definitely something I want to try going from next week. So whatever the low will be, I'll just make a 2 pip stop loss beneath that low, so it has a bit of breathing room, and we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, based on just this week, I did realize when I was marking up, bro, if I had a fixed risk reward, this would have hit TP and I'd have been out to trade. You know, like think about it. This trade here on Monday was great. 9:35 entry, and by 10:15, 10 o'clock, I would have near enough hit TP. So half an hour, TP would have been hit. Even here, 9:30 entry, 11:45 exit. So what, 2 hours and 15 minutes wait? Like that's the type of trades I'm trying to be in, type of thing. Not trades where I'm holding them. As you can see, my average trade duration is 4 hours. My longest is 7 hours and 30 minutes, and average trade being 4 hours, it's not it. So yeah, that's gonna be something I invest into, look into next week. I'll be taking the same trades I take with a fixed risk to reward, but just see how it does. See how it does long term. I think I'm still gonna use a 1 to 3 going forward with the other fixer of risk to reward. I'm gonna use a 1 to 3 and continue using that until I built up enough data to show where my average risk to reward is, and then I can maybe drop my risk to reward on the fixed risk to reward strategy to a 1 to 2 and see how well that does compared to the 1 to 3. In regards to this, where my stop loss would just be a 1 to 2 of whatever my stop loss is, I'm gonna start that from next week. So I'm gonna be trading them side by side. So it's not, oh, this was a bad month, this was a good month, that's why this performed better. I want it to be the exact same trades, near enough the exact same entries, but then the targets and stop loss placement will be different. How many times does my stop loss get hit if it's above the highs? How many times does my stop loss get hit if it's below the lows? How many times does my stop loss get hit if it's a fixed risk reward? And that'll be a very easy decipher and easy to understand which strategy is more profitable, which strategy hits stop loss more, and yeah, which one is more well suited to me. Because I don't think being in trades for 4 hours personally is for me. Like it's just a bit too long. I get very tired, and it is a 5 minutes, so you're having to watch every single candle because as you see here, at 11:40 I was in decent profit. Trade was doing well, and then by 12:35, so what, 45 minutes later, about that, 50 minutes later, I now have to close the trade because it's reversing against me. And if I didn't see that 40 minutes later, I could near enough be getting stopped out right now. With spreads, I probably would have been stopped out and lost 2% after being up 2%. So, you have to be making sure you're paying attention, and 30 minutes means a lot on the 5 minute. So, yeah, I'd want to be able to just look at a trade for an hour, 2 hours, maybe three at a push, and I've either hit TP or been stop lossed out, so I can go on about my day. But yeah, that is it for the weekly update. And yeah, be back next week.